Hello, welcome back to another set of rounds of TGP1. We are here for another round, like I say, of 13 and 14 of season 43. It's myself, CJH, in the commentary box tonight, alongside Luca Chiapelli, and we've got a couple of great races ahead of us tonight. We've got the Japanese Grand Prix and then the Italian Grand Prix later on. We've got a much longer Italian Grand Prix, actually, this week, because it's the 50% race, the one race of the season where we have that one, because of how quick that race usually is. But we're just joining the qualifying session here at Suzuka with just about 2 minutes left to go of the session. And it's currently Casper, the reigning champion, on pole at the minute, and looking to finally get his season up and running and a bit of consistency going. How's it going, Luca? And are you looking forward to these set races tonight?
Yeah, thank you, and great to be back in the commentary box for a second week. Yeah, it's going good, and looks like we're going to have a good, exciting night of racing ahead of us. And yeah, I mean, it's a great stage to set on in Japan for our first race. Heading over to Italy, my hometown, for a 50% race, always exciting. Some great racing to go on there. And yeah, I hope Casper is able to keep this form this week. He had a bit of a rough week last week, as we actually see Alistair Bain just having a small spin there, and that's going to be the end of his lap. But yeah, Casper retired, so he seems confident there to be keeping pole position.
Well, that's him done and dusted then for this session, and it is obviously the final runs here. You can see, look at how many drivers all are on outlaps at the minute. So it's going to be all about keeping your eyes peeled on who is close to the line. Looks like Novak Starkey is going to be the first one to start that final flying lap. But he said about the Italian Grand Prix that's later, we obviously had Casper win an absolute cracker of a race last season. So let's hope that delivers later on. But I really do think Suzuka and Monza is a great combination of circuits for us tonight. But Novak Starkey then going through this tricky first sector of the lap, but you'd have to say, Luca, is this probably the toughest track on the calendar? I mean, I personally think it is a real challenge. It's not quite the same challenge of a place like Monaco, but it's a real driver's circuit, this one.
It certainly is. There's so many places where drivers can just easily just get on the grass too much, lock a wheel, go too wide, lose tons of time. You see Durkee on this current lap, and he is on the edge going through the S section, and really, really trying to push to get those extra bit of tenths for those lap times. So really, really tough track for the drivers here. And the person who will come out on pole will be the one who can get that lap hooked up all the way around the track.
Well, Darky looks like he's doing a fairly okay job so far. He's got plenty of work to do, though, if he wants to get up that order. In terms of the championship tonight, we still have Machine Island leading the way, but by only 14 points ahead of Joe Manatee. And Darky is almost 7/10 up then in that middle sector, so he should be able to get up the order. The checkered flag is well and truly out now, so we know Casper and Jake will not improve in this session, but let's just see then. Can Darky move himself up the order from P16? Yes, he does. He moves up into the top 10. He's up into 8th place, and it's all eyes then to see who's next up on the road, Luca.
Yeah, as I believe it'll be Alistair Bain, I think, is coming across the line now. Alistair Bain coming across the line to take 15th. He doesn't improve on his time. Who have we got next coming up? We've got one of the Kick Saubers coming up, and it's Chris Johnson. I'm struggling to see what the orders are here at the moment.
Well, I tell you,
sorry, go.
No, sorry to interrupt, Luca, but we have got Machine Island. Your championship leader is coming through the final corner now. Let's just see, can he recover some pace here at the end of the qualifying? He comes up to line and he goes 4th. He improves by a little bit, but it's not quite what he would have hoped for. But Joe Manatee is not far behind. We've got a Mercedes just ahead of him. But let's just see, can Joe Manatee snatch pole here right at the death of this Japanese GP quality? No, he can. He improves, but not enough. He can't take pole. Arthur then pops himself up into 6th place. And then we've got Phil Bardwell next on the road in the McLaren, but not quite enough there from Giovanni, Luca.
Yeah, as Phil Bardwell actually dives into the pit lanes, and we've got Wet Lemons diving into the pit lanes as well. So that is your qualifying over.
So it looks like Casper then, by going for that slightly earlier run, maybe just avoiding all the traffic and just getting the job done early, he has made it count, and he takes another pole position this season, and he'll be absolutely delighted with that, Luca, won't he?
He absolutely will. You know, as I said earlier in the session, he is recovering from a poor week last week, and hopefully this will be his resurgence. I don't think he's in the title fight for this year, unfortunately, but you'll love to see some good results coming from Ferrari.
So Casper takes his second pole of the season then, and it will be Giovanni lining up on the front row alongside him. He's got a critical race ahead of him. He's got a car in between himself and Machine Island, and he needs to just take those little points away from the championship leader. It's a battle between the Irish for the title this season, although you can't rule out Court. He is in third place for this race, and he's currently third in the standings. He's a bit of the outsider at the minute, Luca, but who knows? With 2 races each night, anything can happen in this division.
Yeah, never count out Court. He has such a smooth driving style as you see on the telemetry, especially in qualifying, and it really does convert into race pace for him. So definitely don't count Court out. Obviously, Jovial Manatee there in second place. Casper's going to have to be careful off the line because he gets a lightning start, does Jovial Manatee, and drivers are going to have to be really careful going into turn 2 and through the first S section on the first lap, as it can get really bunched and easy to catch a back wheel, get out a bit of grass, and then your race be over. So drivers will really need to understand their starts, be patient, and just play the long game.
Well, it's going to be a thrilling start to this race. You can absolutely guarantee that. It's a long old run into that first corner, and it usually provides plenty of chaos as they all try and negotiate that never-ending first corner. So let's just see then, as the drivers get all their setups and final tweaks done and dusted on the cars, we'll head to the grid very shortly, and it's going to be fascinating to see who will get the better launch between those front runners, and can Casper finally win a race once again this season. It's been a long old wait. It was the third round of the season when he won his one and only victory in season 43. Can he get that second victory? He's had a bit of a rough season, but can he finally turn his form around? We're about to find out then. We've got 3, 4, 5 red lights ahead of the drivers here in Japan. And we are underway, and Darky has already got a drive-through penalty right at the very back, but it's a good start then for Joe Manny. He's alongside Casper, and he is already ahead of him before the first corner, and he takes the lead then on this opening lap. Casper unable to keep the lead, and he is robbed by Joe Manny into that first corner. It's all neat and tidy just behind, although I say that there's the Haas of Bavessia making contact with Court there, and has to just pick up the pieces and recover himself. There's another Haas around in the background, and that is, again, Bavessia round and now tumbling to the very back of the order, but Giovanni then will lead the way, and Casper, you'd have to say, was just not quite good enough off the start there, Luca.
No, he wasn't, and as I said, Jovial Manatee got that lightning start. I saw that Aidan Griffin's got caught up in a bit of an incident there in the S section. As I said, drivers really need to be patient on lap 1 and just let the race kind of pan out before they start to make their moves. Some drivers trying to be opportunistic, but it's a really risky situation. And Bavessia there being the main loser out of the first lap and first instance.
Well, this is the thing. We almost should expect a bit of chaos on the opening lap here at Japan. It's such a narrow circuit, and it is so hard to make those overtakes. But it is Joe Manny then who leads, and Dom Smith there making a move up into 8th ahead of Dan Morris. But interestingly, Luca, Joe Manny on those soft tyres, so maybe that is what gave him such a good launch there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Casper currently running the medium, so he's going to be playing the long game here as he goes quite deep there into the chicane. He's got Machine Island for company right on the back of him here. And will Machine Island try and make a move into turn 1 on lap 1? I don't think he's too close enough to do that. But Machine Island, again, playing the long game. DRS now enabled, so the drivers are really going to start making some moves. And we've got some pit action happening already.
Well, I'm not surprised. That's 5 cars all in the pit lane at the end of the first lap, and that is probably a lot of them all caught up in that incident in the first sector. And I tell you, Luca, I mean, with a race like this, you can really almost count them all out of the picture this early on. There is a move in that first sector from Arthur there on Phil Bargewell. Another driver on the soft tyres making the move then in these early stages. But we've already just seen here, there's a big split in the field, isn't there, Luke? I mean, you'd have to say from Dom Smith, or should I say Phil Bargewell backwards, there's a real split in the field.
There is Jean just not being able to keep on the back of Court here, and Court is on the back of this train for a top 4 fight, which you love to see. You've got some action going on there between Aidan Griffins and Chris Johnson as well in the hairpin. Aidan Griffin's just getting a better drive out on that far exit, so plenty to play for here in the top 5, but Jean maybe just playing a bit of a longer game here with his mediums, maybe dropping off on the pace, but at this kind of track you really need to be close, as we've actually got Phil Bardwell now. And Casper, I don't know which one to follow. We'll follow Casper because it's the closest up on the front. Is he going to stay behind for the DRS on the back straight? I think it's going to be the best move there. But Phil Bardwell up on the left-hand side here thinks better of it, and he will live to fight another day on those medium tyres against Arthur on the softs.
Well, it's the thing. Now we've got DRS enabled. It is getting oh so close to the top. And here comes Casper then with a DRS. And look at that. Absolutely breezes past Giovanni down the start-finish straight. No doubt about it. Absolutely slides past the RB there. And so too is Arthur. And Jonas has actually almost tumbled down into 7th behind Phil Bardwell. Just about holds on to the position, but it just shows the power of that DRS down start-finish straight, Luca. We've only got it on one part of the lap, but where it is so effective.
It certainly is, and I mean, Casper made a brilliant move there, got the lap, got it done early on those mediums, ahead of Jovial Manatee. Jovial Manatee now on the back foot, as he was hoping to maybe make an extension there to get those soft tyres working. And we've got Machine Island almost changing gears here as we have a move between Jean and Arthur as well. Arthur already picked up a 3-second time penalty by the looks of it. And yeah, I think Machine Island is definitely not one to count out of this race.
Well, that's the thing, and I think Arthur there actually got a bit out of shape and dipped his tyre in the gravel. He's going to lose another position here, and there goes Phil Bardwell ahead of Arthur going into Spoon there, and it's easy as you like, although Arthur will get a good old toe. But we go to the front though, because look at this. Machine Island's going to make the move on his title rival, and he's going to take the leader as well. That's 2 cars before 130R there. You don't see that often. Casper's trying to come back at him, having a little look around the outside now, but Machine Island on an absolute charge there. Your championship leader absolutely taking the initiative at the early stages of this race, but Casper will come back at him now with the DRS, and it should be very easy. Gets very close to the pit wall, and there goes Giovanni as well. He's got almost 3 wide there, going down the start-finish straight, and Giovanni then picks off Machine Island, and you have to say, Luca, it was a great double overtake, but maybe Machine Island timed that a bit poorly there.
Yeah, it looked really weird. Casper looked like he was going very slow up on the entry to 130R. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe some gamesmanship with the DRS, as we've been seeing throughout this whole season with these drivers. But yeah, Casper still coming out on top there. Jovial Manatee making the move around the outside, maybe catching Machine Island a bit off guard there as well. So some great racing as we got Arthur now trying to make a move here into Degna 1. He looks like he was going to try and make a move there on just Jean, but thinks better of it. And yeah, the racing's still very exciting. It's, oh my goodness, here, Machine Island around the outside of the hairpin, and he just can't get the traction down. But he's back on the inside now. He's going up the inside. He seems to have got out on top for now, and he will be there ready to fight Casper into 130R for the next time round.
Brilliant racing, as we've seen already in this race so far. It is Suzuka delivering once again. Your 2 title protagonists there going wheel to wheel at that part of the lap. That is not what we expected before this one. But Machine Island then back up into 2nd place. But Giovanni is hot on his tail. Look at him there with the slipstream before 130R. He gets such a run at that Red Bull. He might just have a little think of going up the inside. No, thinks better of it, and he'll set it up nicely. But they are oh so close, this top 4 here, Luca.
They certainly are, and Jovial Manatee there trying to hang on to the back of it. The more that Machine Island and Jovial Manatee fight here, the better it is for Casper, as he's starting to make a little bit of a gap now and doesn't seem to be under too much pressure. As, oh my goodness, he caught Gil up the inside. I was on the driver's camera there and I didn't see that one coming, so apologies for that. But Court Gill taking advantage of this. And as I said to you earlier on, don't count Court out. He's got some amazing race pace when it comes to it.
Absolutely, and I think this is what we've seen before here, where there is a little bit of DRS checking going on, but it's also a bit of ERS checking, because as some of them may have DRS on the car in front, they're trying to just save that battery, and I think that's maybe a little bit what's happened there, Luca, because Giovanni, he was absolutely a sitting duck there at the end of that straight.
He certainly was. Going on board with Jovial Manatee here, he is running 59-60% ERS, so it's not like he's completely run out of it at the moment. Maybe he's just trying to do a bit of saving here and there, as the ERS can get absolutely hammered if you attack for a couple of laps. So maybe he thinks, I could just let this one go and go back at them later on. But this is a massive guessing game for all of the drivers to see where they are with that ERS and whether they are saving or they have well and truly run out.
Well, this is the thing, and Casper then is still leading this one, but I'm not sure for how much longer, because you can just see Machine Island there is hot on his tail, and with the slipstream there, is gaining and gaining more and more. He's going to go through these final couple of corners here, and you'd imagine he's going to have a right old run at him going into the first corner. Keeps it nice and neat and tidy there, gets a good exit, and should have the DRS now, and there is Giovanni actually coming in the pit, so that'll be interesting to see where he comes out in this one. But here comes Machine Island then, has a little look to the outside, has the DRS, they're going to go wheel to wheel in the first corner here, and the Ferrari just getting a little bit out of shape there, but Machine Island's going to hang it on around the outside, and he has to just concede in the end, can't quite get it done. It may be a little bit ambitious there, Luca, to try and go around the outside on that kind of corner.
Casper placed his car perfectly there and gave him just enough room that it was legal. But I mean, he's now saving ERS in probably the wrong spot here, as Machine Island is pushing him through these corners. He's going to make a bit of distance here in Degna 1 and Degna 2, but as he comes up to the hairpin, he's got to keep his guard up and make sure that he's not going to get done up the inside here. And I think he's created enough of a gap for that not to happen. But he was under pressure a lot there. He placed his car perfectly through turns 1 and 2, and he was under a bit of pressure just after Dunlop. But he is in a good spot now to fight another day.
Well, this is the thing. If these guys start scrapping quite hard here, then it will allow Giovanni just to get a bit of time on them on those medium tyres. The problem is, these lot, they'll go on the soft tyres later on, so they will have the tyre advantage. But it's critical, isn't it, Luca, for Giovanni now just to get his foot down in a bit of free air on those fresh mediums.
Absolutely, and he needs to try and save those tyres as much as he can for when those medium runners go onto the soft tyres later on in the race, because he'll need to be able to compete with their pace until the soft tyres drop off eventually towards the end of the race. And maybe he'll be in a good position running the what I would refer to as the normal strategy here. But yeah, don't count out anybody currently on the medium tyres. It seems to be the faster general kind of strategy on F1 2024, at least from what I've seen.
Absolutely. Well, Court there was getting a little bit close down that start-finish straight, but he thought better of it, of making any kind of move. We've got Jonas then in the pit lane. He's gone on the hard tyres, which is an interesting strategy. They're usually actually not too bad of a race tyre, but we've not got too long to go already. We're past the halfway point in this race, and it's been an absolute thriller so far, and I've got absolutely no idea who's going to win between this top four. Casper then still leads just ahead of Machine Island and ahead of Court as well, but they are still sitting very nicely right behind the Ferrari, and maybe they are just biding a little bit of time at the moment, Luca. Maybe they are trying to just get through this point of the race. They know that they can't fight too hard and potentially lose heaps of time to Joe Manti.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Jovial Manatee's massive undercut has paid off here. But, I mean, you've got Machine Island all over the back of Casper now. That's going to be more fighting that's going to go on. That's going to lead into an advantage here for Jovial Manatee. It's this Machine Island already trying to make a move. Alonso-esque into 130R. He thinks better of it just for now. But is he going to try and go up the inside here of the chicane? Again, thinks better of it. Waiting for that DRS as Casper goes wide. Casper has been compromised going through the chicane. This is only going to play into Machine Island's hands as he now dives to the inside with the DRS wide open. It's an easy move. Can Court now come back at Casper and get a double DRS and overtake it? He's going to go for it on Casper. He goes up the inside, but Casper shuts the door and Court thinks better of it. My goodness me, I thought that was going to be a plane crash at one point.
He left it late. He left it very late there, but he had a little look, and it just wasn't quite alongside enough. It's a very quick first corner, so you need to be very much alongside that car in front. But Machine Island there, though, getting the job done then, back into the lead of this one, and these drivers are still carrying on then on the medium tyres. They haven't dived in the pit lane yet. I was wondering with Casper there, Luca, maybe that was the time for him to jump in. He was struggling at the end of that lap.
Yeah, maybe it was, but I also know that the drivers are going to be very conscious of the soft tyres dropping off quickly, especially around a track like this that is harsh on the tyres with the fast corners and the big stopping distances and the traction and everything going on. So it'll be interesting to see when these drivers will pull the trigger to come in on the soft tyres, for the soft tyres, and where Jovial Manatee will come out in relation to all of them. Jovial Manatee currently in 8th place at the moment, with plenty of drivers ahead of him also needing to pit as well. So, yeah, this is going to be close.
Absolutely. Rekas saying on the stream chat, that was dicey. That is absolutely for sure. That was indeed dicey, and that's pretty dicey there because Casper getting oh so close to the gearbox of that Red Bull, and there we go. They are diving in the plane. All three of them diving in the pits, and Casper getting very late on the brakes there and just about gets it slowed down. This will be a battle between the pit crews here. You've got Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari here fighting it out for the win, and it looks like they're all going to stay in the same order here, Luca. No change at the top, but let's keep an eye on Giovanni. Whereabouts is he at the moment?
Jovial Manatee coming around the last corner now. He's going to get his foot down. Where's he going to come out in relation to these drivers? It's going to be close. Jovial Manatee coming around the outside of Machine Island. Is he going to make it? He makes the move, and the undercut has paid off for him only just on those medium tyres. Those soft tyre runners are going to get a quick warm-up, though, and Machine Island all over the back of Jovial Manatee here, and he's already trying to make the move. He knows that he's got to get ahead of him to really get advantage of those soft tyres, but Jovial Manatee has the widest RB on the track at the moment. Machine Island hustling him all around outside of Dunlop and into Degna 1, but it looks like Jovial Manatee has done enough that he can just keep him behind for at least the remainder of this lap. But we're going to stay on board here as Jovial Manatee goes to the inside for the hairpin. Machine Island, will he go around the outside here? Jovial Manatee pushed him wide. Machine Island, they've touched, and we've got Casper coming into the mix now. Machine Island's made it work. Machine Island up the inside. Casper now trying to make it around the inside of Spoon here. Is he going to get it? He is. Oh. My goodness. And Court, he's going to be joining this battle in a minute, and Jovial Manatee just didn't have the answers there.
I mean, he was getting the anchors out. He was trying to hang on, but he just couldn't do anything, just with the sheer pace of those soft tyres. And he's going to get mugged off by Court here, you know, before 130R almost. Not quite. He's going to think better of it, but he might just get him down to that start-finish rate. But I do fear for Jovial Manatee here on those medium tyres. You could just see there the difference in grip on those soft tyres. They absolutely breezed past him in the end. So it is Machine Island then who retakes the lead then as we start lap 10. We've not got long to go here, and here comes Casper with a great old run at the Red Bull. And he's now going to take the lead back off the Irishman. So Casper then retakes the lead. Oh, and Machine Island there gets a little bit wide into that first corner. He gets away with it, but well, he's just going to have to play this patient, isn't he, Luca? We've got still a couple of laps to go here, but it's going to be all about being in the right position at the right time.
It definitely is, and what we've started to see throughout this whole season as well is that drivers are saving their ERS, making the driver who is in the lead really work hard to keep the driver behind, and then making a move on the last lap. Will Machine Island try and recreate that? We'll have to see. Court hasn't been able to do enough to get ahead of Jovial Manatee on those soft tyres. He needs to get the move done now, really, to really keep with those top three and really take advantage of those soft tyres before they start to drop off towards the end of the race. But Jovial Manatee doing a great job on those mediums at the moment to stay in the mix. And will he be able to take advantage of the medium tyres towards the end of the race? It's all to play for here at the moment.
Well, this is the thing. Jovial Manatee might just have to suffer a little bit at the minute, but if he can just stay in play, he is well and truly not out of this one. Here comes Machine Island then. He's got a good old run, and so too is Court in the background. They're both side by side here, going through 130R. Machine Island's risking it up the inside. Can he get it done on Casper? Not quite. He's going to have the outside line for this next corner, and he's just not going to be able to make the move. But Court did, right behind them. He is now up into third and will look to try and make the move here on the Red Bull. He's got a great old run at Machine Island, and so too is he on the Ferrari. There goes Machine Island then for the lead, and there is Court as well. He's going to pick off the Ferrari as well. So Casper and Jovial Manatee, the big losers there. Machine Island then back in the lead, but Court, critically, Luca, now up into second place.
It seems that Machine Island's just had the edge on Casper throughout this race. As much as Casper has been doing a great job with defending and placing his car just right, it seems that Machine Island is able to make up those incremental gains throughout the whole lap. Court there, showing his race pace that seems to be trumping that from qualifying as well. So Court really putting himself in a great position here as well to be able to fight for that win. Can he do enough to stay within that DRS that Machine Island can feel the pressure, as Machine Island has a massive lock-up into the hairpin, double lock-up at the front wheels there. That's not going to do his tyres any good. And Casper there, 8/10 behind Court at the moment. He's starting to seem to drop off, so it looks like it's a two-horse race at the moment.
Well, this is the thing. If they can just break that DRS to Casper, then it's going to be almost game over for him. And it is so close. There it is. It's over a second. Very briefly there. It's critical for Casper here to get a good old slipstream off Court and just stay in the mix here. But Court might just think this is my opportunity right now. And there he goes. Up the inside through 130R. What a brave move that is to risk it there. And he has got it done. What a fantastic overtake that is. Like you say, Luca, Fernando Alonso-esque. And he is into the lead of this one. But he might just come under pressure from Machine Island again here.
I think he will. He seems to have really used his ERS there. Maybe he's saving it. I think he's on 11% at the moment, so Machine Island on 32%. Machine Island has the advantage at the moment, and Court knows. Maybe he's just testing him. Maybe he's just testing him. A couple of laps to go here. What can he do? It's very exciting, but it looks like Jovial Manatee now.
Dearie me, sorry, Luca, but Machine Island there just got on the curb and absolutely sideways. And kid you not, he was sideways there through that corner. And how on earth he's just caught that car there? And it's almost a bit of a miracle that Red Bull didn't go pirouetting around. But he's managed to keep it going, and he is still leading. But if I didn't need any more heart and mouth moments in this race so far, there was another just there.
Yeah, as we actually see Casper now looking to try and make a move up into the hairpin as Jovial Manatee has a massive lock up into that hairpin. Can Casper use those soft tyres to get a better drive? Not at the moment. Watch that for the final lap, because we're coming up to the final DRS of the race as well. And Court has placed himself in a great position here. 41% ERS to 52 on Machine Island. So Court will have the advantage here if he can get close enough into 130R. Casper almost pushing Jovial Manatee around at the final part of the lap. Will he try and get the move done before 130R and before the DRS detection zone? I don't think he will. He's just holding back for the moment, as he has an ERS very, very similar, but he needs to be careful of his fuel as well. He looks like he's running low on fuel, so he needs to be careful and see if he's going to do that. And Court now onto the back straight, a bit squirrely out of the chicane, and seems to just not have the answer for Machine Island. Will he try and do that later in the lap?
He might get one more chance after the 130R. That'll be his one opportunity to get this done and dusty. He's got to stay really close, and there's Casper sweeping right around the outside of Jovial Manatee. And can he get this done? Yes, he can. What an overtake that was to get that done right around the outside after turn one there. Superb stuff from the reigning champion. He's now up into the podium spots, and critically for the current championship, that takes points away from Jovial Manatee. It is critical now for Machine Island, for his championship's sake here, to hang on to the lead on this final lap of this brilliant TGP Japanese Grand Prix. And Court, he's still there. He's still there, Luca. He might just get another chance here.
He is still there. He is still a bit far back. We actually saw Lewis Craig getting a last-ditch attempt on Dom Smith and making that work on the back straight of the DRS zone as well earlier on. But yeah, Court 5/10 behind. He still has 40% ERS to 33% on Machine Island. Will he try and make a last-ditch attempt into 130R? He's done it before. He's tested him before. He knows it works. So will he be able to put the hammer down and get that working? It seems like it's just out of reach for the moment, but Jovial Manatee coming back, and Casper here. He's got the advantage. He's going up the inside. Will he do it Alonso-esque style as they're both running down on ERS? Jovial Manatee up the inside.
Oh, they touched! For the lead, they've touched. Court's made contact with Machine Island. He had a go. He had a little go, but he can't get it done. And Machine Island will win this one then. What a race here in Suzuka. Machine Island will win. Court had a go at the end. Gave me a bit of a heart attack, but he still survives for second place. And Jovial Manatee does indeed get that third ahead of Casper, with Jonas in fifth. But what a race that was, Luca. An absolute thriller from start to finish.
It was brilliant racing there from the top four all the way through. You never knew who was going to win it. I mean, looking back on it now, Machine Island did have that slight advantage when it came to pace all round, and Court showing some brilliant pace towards the end of that race there and taking advantage of mistakes that were made by Casper and Jovial Manatee. And yeah, some fantastic thrilling racing. A great TGP1 Classic here and a brilliant watch.
Yeah, put that one in the history books, because that was quite something. 4 top-level TGP drivers there going absolutely at it from lights to flag. And, well, hopefully we get a bit more of that in Monza straight up after this. But Machine Island then wins once again this season. Your championship leader, he does extend that lead at the top. Maybe a critical move from Jovial Manatee at the end there, Luca, just to get those extra couple of points. But he did well, though. You have to say, Jovial Manatee on those medium tyres, just to hang on with those soft runners at the end there.
He certainly did that. He went against the grain from what everybody else was doing. Soft to medium strategy really seemed to pay off for him to be able to take that third place. He obviously started second, but just couldn't do enough to keep Court at bay early on when the pit stops were made. So it's just a shame, really, for Jovial Manatee to lose out on that place. But fantastic race from Court, fantastic race from Machine Island, and Casper maybe kicking himself a bit there to not take advantage early on.
Wow. Well, if you can catch your breath after that, then you've got the opportunity now, because we've got Monza coming up straight after this. But there is your podium drivers then. Machine Island then wins ahead of Court, ahead of Jovial Manatee. But what a race that was. And the top drivers, they all kind of rose up to the top in that one, you'd have to say. And, well, that was a battle for the ages. And an iconic circuit and an iconic race, that one, you'd have to say. So Machine Island, he wins actually for the first time since way back at the British Grand Prix, only the fourth round of this season. So he's actually had to wait quite a while for another taste of victory this season, Luca. But he has been consistent throughout, but he has finally now picked up that third win of this championship.
He has, yeah, caught taking the fastest lap there, so stealing a point from Machine Island in his all-important title fight there. And yeah, it was he did a brilliant race throughout. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. A few other shout-outs throughout the field. So we had Johners in 5th and Arthur in 6th. Lewis Craig from 13th up to 7th. That was a pretty good drive from him. And Dom Smith also getting into the top 10. And yeah, that is your lot then from Suzuka. That felt like an incredibly quick race. I don't know about you, Luca, but obviously a bit of a lie down after that. But Monza straight up after this. A much different challenge with this circuit. Obviously, it's going to be a bit longer, but it's a very high speed and heavy braking kind of track, this one.
It certainly is. And, you've got the drama of lap one, turn one, as we always see. There's always drama coming into lap one, turn one, into that chicane. You've got plenty of chicanes that slow down the pace, but then it's all about the drive out of them and where drivers can really position themselves. And you've got two major DRS zones here. The one major one being obviously along the start-finish straight, where most of the moves are going to be made. But yeah, this is going to be fast, furious, and plenty of overtaking for sure. And I think strategy will be important here. I think the hard tyre could be one that the drivers will move on to for a better race tyre. Obviously, one that we didn't see very much in Suzuka with those winning strategies. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good race. I mean, Suzuka was a brilliant race. I think this is going to be a good one too.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, it was a great race last season, and it was Casper, actually, who came through the field and picked up a remarkable win after a bit of a rough start to his race. And obviously, with the one-shot qualifying, we can see some people the grid gets a little bit mixed up, let's just say. Some people can invalidate their time and have it all to do in the race. It is obviously a longer one, so they will have plenty of time to pick up the pieces. But in terms of this championship fight at the top then, so the gap now is up to 24 points from Machine Island to Giovanni. We've caught now a whopping 37 points back. But we still have a total of 7 races remaining of this season. Is it still all to play for in this one, Luca? And can we maybe give a bit of the benefit of the doubt to Giovanni in court that they've still got plenty of opportunities to come?
I think they do. I think the famous saying is that anything can happen in TGP, and it normally does. So yeah, definitely all to play for. I wouldn't be giving up at any point in this in the season especially at this point. So yeah, drivers just need to keep their heads down, keep their cool, and just keep doing some great racing as we've seen throughout. The driver that will come out on top will be the one who is the most rounded. Let's be honest. I think Machine Island has got the edge tonight. That's for sure. Court Gill, he's been driving brilliantly as well. And Jovial Manatee, he's not afraid to go against the grain to see what he can do to keep his title fight alive as well.
Absolutely. It's going to be fascinating to see how that one all plays out. And in the constructors, interestingly, after that race at Suzuka, Mercedes have now, I believe, taken the lead of the standings in that one. Either that or the gap has been closed, one of the two, because the gap is now only 5 points between Mercedes and Red Bull. And we've seen this before, Luca, where the top drivers, they'll all be very close on points, but it's actually down to that second driver when it comes to that Constructors' Championship that just makes the difference. And they all have their roles to play in that kind of battle.
It certainly is. And, as speaking from experience as a second driver who might not have been contributing very much to the title fight, it definitely does make a massive difference what result that second driver can do. So hats off, to a good driver pairing for Mercedes to getting back up to the top there. And can they continue on this run with good results? Dom Smith, a very, very consistent driver here alongside Court Gill. So I think I'm going to put my money on them to win the Constructors.
Well, you heard it here first, and it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I've got even more interesting news. Apparently, we have a wet race in store here at Monza, which is really going to change the dynamics of this one. What's your initial take on that one, Luca, with the wet conditions forecasted.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be up to what drivers can get their power down and keep it consistent. Um, Drivers are going to probably be split on what decision they're going to make, whether they go for a dry setup here for the qualifying or go for a wet setup for the race. It's going to be an interesting one, and we could see a severe change in the order from that. So, yeah, it's definitely all to play for. Don't know how it's going to come about, but I think it's going to be the driver who's going to be able to put that traction down out of these turns. So, yeah,
Well, here we go then. We are into our one-shot qualifying here at the Italian GP. And I'm going to pass it straight back to you, Luca, because Machine Island, let's stick with him currently on his lap. Actually, at the end of the first sector, he's actually tumbling down the order here. He's down into 12th place, but he's got the second half of the lap here to try and recover his pace here.
Yeah, so on board as we're coming through Lesmo 1, make sure that the car gets nice and far out wide into Lesmo 2, as you don't want to take too much curb here, as you can lose that time. DRS wide open, and stay tight on the left-hand side here, and let the car drift out right, coming up to Ascari now. Pick your braking point on that right-hand side, and it's just before the 50, and you don't want to get on those sausage curbs. They will throw you off, and you don't want to take too much curb through the second part of Ascari there, and let it run out wide as you go out into the tarmac, and it's just a case of now running through the gears, waiting for that braking zone on the far left-hand side as we come on to what used to be called Parabolica. Nice and tight in wide. On the final, you want to stay nice and tight into this pit lane here. Use across that white line, and he comes across the line, and Jovial Manatee actually takes pole position, but that didn't look too bad towards the last sectors for Machine Island.
Well, we've got the usual suspects at the top once again, but it is Jovial Manatee then who takes pole for the TGP Italian Grand Prix. And what a lap that was. Around a kind of circuit like this where there's not too many places where you can gain the time. Jovial Manatee then does take pole by 4.5 tenths of a second ahead of Court, with Arthur actually surprisingly popping himself onto the second row then ahead of Machine Island. And the big driver that I noticed there that had a crash was indeed Casper on Ferrari home turf. It's his season. He just can't get any consistency going, can he, Luca?
He can't. I don't know what's going on with him this season, but he just doesn't have, as you say, he just doesn't have that consistency, and he's up and down throughout the weeks. Jovial Manatee there, big shout out for him for getting 4.5 tenths ahead of Court and the rest of the field from third down, are very close across that field. So don't know what Jovial Manatee did to pull that one out of the bag in such style, but Casper will be disappointed, especially coming off the back of the pole from Suzuka. Can he make up places in the race with what we expect to be a wet race here? It'll be interesting to see what tyres as well the drivers are going to choose. Will it be wet enough for full wets? Will we be intermediates? Will it be the crossover between the two? We have seen some drivers who have really taken advantage of full wet tyres on what is an intermediate track as well. So interesting to see what they do. And obviously that setup question as well. Is there going to be a dry setup for a wet track? It will make massive differences on the straights, but won't be so good through the corners.
Well, I'd absolutely say at the minute, that looks to me like a light rain conditions. So we are probably expecting intermediates for the start of this one. So it's going to be oh so slippery into that first corner. We've seen plenty of chaotic starts here before. If you thought it was a long run into the first corner at Suzuka, scratch that. This one's even longer. It's going to be chaos into that first corner. And who will be the latest of the late breakers and try and take the lead of this race? It's going to be explosive, and well, prepare yourselves. This could be quite something at the start of this race. Let's see how long these conditions stay like this. Will the rain get worse? Will it dry up, or will it just stay the same? That is going to be the big questions throughout this one. It's a 50% Italian GP here, and we've got really the kind of worst conditions for a track like this. Here we go then. We're about to find out. We've got 5 red lights ahead of the drivers here at Monza. And we are underway for the TGP Italian GP, and Jovial Manatee then has got a fairly good start, and I think they're actually on dry tyres. They are indeed on dry tyres with weather like this, and there is Machine Island making the move then on court into the first corner. They make contact though, because there is Arthur swooping right round the outside, the pair of them up into second place. There's chaos at the back. As you can see already, the driver's really struggling to get the car slowed down, but Jovial Manatee then got the start he needed, and he will still lead this race. Arthur will have a little run at him though, and he's going to have a little look to the outside, and is he quite close enough to make the move? He's going to have a go right around the outside of Jovial Manatee. Can't get it done, has to jump over the curb, but he's going to have the inside line this time around. He will take the lead, and what a start from Arthur then. He takes the lead. here in Monza and from absolutely nowhere, Luca.
Yeah, Arthur's going to have to give that position back. He cut across the inside of the second corner within that chicane, and I'm surprised that he still held on to it. We've got Court now trying to make a move around the outside of Jovial Manatee. It's a drag race down to this. Who will be the later of the late breakers? It's Court round the outside, and that's a fantastic move and taking advantage there. And Arthur's going to be even more of a pickle now as he's a bit squirrely out of that Scari, and he's going to have to give that position back at some point. Otherwise, it's going to go to the stewards, and he could get quite a severe penalty for it. We did see Wet Lemons getting very squirrely out of the first chicane, and true to his name, maybe getting on some of the wet patches as well and not being able to get the traction down. And a couple of incidents between Lewis Craig and some of the McLaren drivers as well. But we see that Casper, now in 13th place, can he make up some more positions?
Well, Cork getting ahead of Joe Mann, he's really put a spanner in the works here, because that means Arthur will not yield that position. He has a little look to the inside. There is Machine Island then, the two title rivals, and he's made the move then on Joe Mann, and they may make more contact there. So that's Machine Island touching the gearbox of Court there, and I think there was a little bit from Joe Mann as well, as they really are struggling to get the cars turned in through that tight first chicane. I mean, it's clearly just not quite wet enough for intermediates, but this is absolutely perilous conditions. Oh, and look at that! Court getting it all wrong under the brakes there and gets away with it. He almost absolutely wiped out himself and Arthur there.
Yeah, as we saw some moves there in the background between Aiden and Vessier as they were coming through. It was actually the driver of Alistair Bain who lost some of his wing in the first corner in that concertina effect between the drivers, and Alistair Bain will be suffering as well with these slippery conditions and that loss of downforce at the front of the car. And it's Machine Island and Jovial Manatee still line astern as they're coming through here. Arthur getting a bit wide there, still not yielding that position. What will the stewards have to say about that? We don't know yet, but it seems to be that we've had some instances as well, and with Dierke too, and the Wet Lemons suffering there as he got all out of shape. Maybe he's come in for an early pit stop. It's hard to tell at this point.
Well, he's actually popped on the intermediate tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what his pace is like in this one. But it still seems like the dry tyres are the way to go. But there is Machine Island. They're getting a right old run at Court, and there he goes. Absolutely breezes past the Mercedes man, and he's going to breeze past Arthur here before the first corner. How much will Arthur hang on to this one? You betcha. Look at that. Late on the brakes, keeps the lead then, and he is going to take this one to the court, if you like, in terms of the penalty. He is going to let his talking on the track do the business here, Luca, because he's not yielding the position at all here.
He's not, and Casper's made up some positions on Vessier and Dom Smith as well in that first corner. We're going to switch back to Machine Island here, as I thought he was going to try and make a move, but nothing doing at the moment. And Arthur, I must say, he positioned his car perfectly through that first chicane so that Machine Island couldn't get the drive and get that drag race down to the second chicane. And Court Gill, he must have been taken by surprise with Machine Island making two positions up almost in that first thing. And he's now on the hunt for Machine Island. It's all to play for here, as we've got Lewis Craig making a massive move. He's got a huge run on Alistair Bain there, and he is up into sixth position. A great move there for Lewis Craig, and he's now on the hunt, trying to hunt down this top five.
Well, he is a man on the charge at the minute, and so too, look at this top three. Look how close that is. Caught with a right old run at Machine Island. The incredible thing is here, we've still got DRS. It's chucking it down rain, and the track is as slippery as you would believe, but we still have DRS, so it means Machine Island is going to get a right old run at Arthur here, and he should, this time around, get the job done. Arthur jumping from left to right down the start-finish straight, but there he goes. Machine Island then takes the lead here. Arthur will not be able to defend that one, and we'll have to regroup and try again. But Machine Island then, on those soft tyres, finally making that move for the lead here, Luca.
Really well timed there from Machine Island, as there was actually a yellow flag along the front straight as somebody had retired in the pits. It was Dierke who retired, and so he had to really time that for that move. As Court Gill now, he seems to be trying to make a move here, nothing doing, and Arthur all over the back of the gearbox of Machine Island and seems to get the better run out of the second chicane. We also saw that Casper and Vessier and Dom Smith all trying to make moves as well, and Aidan Griffin's also making a move on his brother Alistair Bain as they came through that first chicane and on the back straight as well. So plenty of action up and down the field here, as we've got another fight here between Court and Arthur. Can the court make some moves here? Brilliant racing all around. It's hard to keep up with it all.
I know, it's almost impossible. I can see there's a great battle as well for P10 there, chopping and changing left, right and centre, but we do need to keep an eye on the lead because it looks so close at the top here, and there is Arthur once again with a run, and so too is Core on Machine Island. I don't think they're going to make the move just quite yet. They're going to sit tight for the minute because they will have DRS on the next straight, but Arthur is well and truly still in play here, and with a good exit will be right on the tail of the championship leader. Look at this, it's the top 5, absolutely nose to tail, and Arthur is already going to move ahead of Machine Island then down this start finish straight. DRS wide open, easy as you like, and Machine Island is almost defenseless to that, Luca.
It is, and Court had some massive closing speeds there. I thought he was going to try and make a move, but thinks better of it on those medium tyres compared to Machine Island on those softs. Arthur doing a great job there on those medium tyres to get that better traction in these wet conditions. We actually have a move happening here between Phil Bardwell and Jovial Manatee. Phil Bardwell up the inside of this long right-hander. Can he make this stick as Jovial Manatee on the outside? He goes up. He's made the move stick. Brilliant. As that was a brave move from Phil Bardwell to hang it around the outside. Jovial Manatee knows that he needs to give the space. Some good respect between the drivers there. Court almost pushing Machine Island around Lesmo 1. And will he do the same through Lesmo 2? It's very, very close to Machine Island. Oh my goodness. He nearly lost it on the back of Lesmo 2, but seems to be keeping the advantage. Phil Bardwell wanting to get involved here now, as does Jovial Manatee. And this is just some brilliant racing and brilliant action. And you won't believe it, but we've still got 22 laps left of the race here.
I know. If you thought Japan was good, this is going to absolutely deliver the way this is going. And there is Court then with a great old run at Machine Island. He's not waiting around this time. He gets the job done then up into second place ahead of the Irishman. And he will now look to try and have a go at Arthur into the first corner, but Arthur has a little bit of a lead here. He's almost breaking the DRS. You can just see Court getting a little bit out of shape there, trying to get onto that start finish straight. And there is Phil Bardwell then up into third, and that is because Machine Island is in the pit lane, Luca.
Yeah, Machine Island was so squirrely out of Ascari that just gave Court that brilliant run to make that move just before Parabolica and really release him now. Phil Bardwell now can taste blood at the front of this at the front of this field. Jovial Manatee still hanging on to the back of that, as there's a gap now starting to form between Jovial Manatee and Lewis Craig, who is out of DRS, and a lot of the drivers starting to settle down now towards the back of the circuit, as we're seeing a lot of drivers now actually coming into the pits, and it seems that Machine Island's soft tyres have run out of life.
That's interesting. I tell you now, that is interesting. They're all going on intermediates at the back. They're maybe rolling the dice a little bit, but I've not seen anything come up yet of the DRS being disabled or the conditions necessarily being any worse than they've been so far. So it's going to be fascinating to see, is that worth the gamble, especially for the likes of Machine Island that has a lot to play for here. He's not the kind of driver that should be necessarily gambling like that, but he has rolled the dice, and we'll see, have those intermediates got any pace? But Court, he's certainly got pace here because he's right on the tail of Arthur here, Luca.
He certainly is, and as I said in Suzuka, Court has a brilliant, smooth driving style on F1 2024 here that really seems to be coming into his own in these wet conditions where it's starting to get slippy and greasy, and he seems to now really be ready to take on Arthur. Is he using the ERS? He's not using any ERS. It's all down to the drag reduction here. He's going to try and go around the outside, but Arthur late on the brakes and positioning that Haas very, very well, as Alistair Bain gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That will really hurt in this race for him. So that's unfortunate, as he's also probably coming in to repair some damage, and Court not quite able to make that move, but he seems to be just biding his time, almost toying with Arthur at the front.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I know you said if he was ready to make the move on Arthur. I don't think anyone's ever ready to make the move on Arthur, although he might be ready now because Arthur's had a little bit of a mistake there. And there's Phil Bardwell at the inside. It's a Lesmo 1. Can't quite get it done. Almost an opportunistic overtake there on the Mercedes. But you kind of have to get up very early in the morning if you want to make a move on Arthur in this one, because he is desperate to hang on to this lead here. He wants that win, and at the minute he is doing a good old job of hanging on to it. But here comes Court then with a great old run, and he will go around the outside, and he will finally now get ahead of Arthur, and the defense is over, Luca. But Arthur, he should come straight back at him surely here with the DRS coming straight up.
I don't know about that. Arthur seems to have had that move brewing since the second chicane where he started to get a bit out of shape. And he is later on the brakes than Court here, but Court just seems to have that traction. He seems to be able to get the power down much better than Arthur can at the moment. And that brings Phil Bardwell in, but he's actually coming into the pits. Is he going to move to intermediate tyres now? As he now gets a 10-second time penalty. Oh my goodness, it's killer for the drivers here at the moment.
And there goes Arthur. There goes Arthur for the lead, and a late lunge then on Court, and he's absolutely caught napping it because Court really didn't defend that inside line. Maybe he knew it was done and dusted, but Arthur then takes the lead once again, and interestingly there, Machine Island sets the fastest lap of this race on intermediates, and he's ahead of Phil Bardwell by quite some distance.
Has Machine Island played a blinder here with the strategy at the right time? Has Phil Bardwell, despite that 10-second time penalty, made the right move at the right cut-off time? As we see Arthur squirreling through Lesmo 1 there. Caught now, almost pushing him around Lesmo 2, and seems to be able to get the traction down. I think this is going to be an easy move for him coming into Ascari, as he is on the back, all over the back of him here. And he's positioned his car brilliantly yet again, Arthur there. But Court's going to go up the inside here, outside, sorry, and he is late on the brakes. He's good through the corners, and he seems to have got that move done and created a bit of breathing room between himself and Arthur. And Jovial Manatee still hanging on to the back here. But Machine Island, he seems to be cutting into this lead here, and will he be able to come out on top when these drivers eventually pit for intermediate tyres?
Well, I tell you right now, that was a carbon copy move there from Court, but surely they've got to come in the pits. If they see that lap and the time that Machine Island is gaining, they've got to make a decision soon, but they are all staying out. So we're going to get another round of this almighty scrap for the lead here. We've got yellow flags. I think that's just a slow Alpine in the middle sector there, so nothing too much to worry about. Arthur not quite close enough this time around there, Luca, as Bavessia now moves up in second place, and there too is the Sauber of Chris Johnston having a little think about a move as well, but Bavessia up into sixth then, running quite well for Haas. But Arthur, he's still there, Luca. But these guys, I mean, what is their plan here? Surely, are they committing to these dry tyres? I mean, they'll have to pit at some point, surely.
They will. I think they're maybe trying to eke these dry tyres out for as long as they can so that they don't wear down their intermediates. The intermediates can wear down quickly if you hit them too hard and not in the right conditions. Just looking last time at the leaderboard here, I saw that that Machine Island was 2.5 seconds behind his previous driver in front of him. He's now overtaken JWBFC and seems to be making those intermediate tyres work. So it seems to be the right tyre to be on at the moment, but there is that question of how long those intermediate tyres will last. The last thing you want to do is do an extra pit stop when you don't need to. And Machine Island working his way up now. What will these drivers at the front be thinking? Are they too engrossed in the racing, or are they really thinking, actually, we need to start pitting very soon?
Well, Machine Island, he is absolutely fine. He's going to make an easy move here on Johners before the final corner, and he is on a charge. But we go to the lead, though, because here is Arthur then. He's on a charge as well, and he's going to retake the lead here. And we've got a safety car. Look at the timing of that. Now, the question is, who got ahead of each other? It is Court that will keep the lead here, but they're not going to get caught up with a safety car. But that is really going to throw a spanner in the works for Machine Island, who actually comes in the pits once again. So he commits to another pit stop. So this top four will get a free pit stop here, surely, Luca, and will keep their positions here.
That is music to Court and Arthur's ears there as they see Machine Island's coming to the pits, because it was going to be, with the gaps and everything going on, it was going to be Machine Island would retake the lead if they were to come into the pits now under safety car. So this is brilliant news for Court, Arthur and Jovial Manatee up at the top three here, who are yet to pit and go onto those intermediate tyres. They are clearly the quicker tyres in this race at the moment, and it just gives them more of a chance to fight between themselves. And Machine Island maybe now regretting that decision to come in so early, but he was struggling on those dry tyres at the time. So bit 50-50. This is what racing's all about. Can Machine Island still make it up the order as the gaps are now going to close with the safety car?
So it looks like it was Matt Tibos who has had an incident. He's just managed to get a wounded Alpine back in the pit lane, and there's a drive-through penalty there for Wet Lemons down in 13th. so you can almost count him out of the picture. And there is Arthur, getting very punchy there as they head towards the pit lane. Have a little look to the inside. I hope he realises you cannot drive alongside that car under these conditions. But it was indeed, yes, Matt Tibos who has had an incident, and there they go then into the pit lane. It was a no-brainer for them to do this, and the question is, surely, Luca, they're going to go on the intermediates here.
Yeah, I think they'd be stupid not to at this point, as Court's definitely on the intermediate tyres. Arthur yet to go to his pit box. He's going on the intermediate tyres. Jovial Manatee on the intermediate tyres as well. Lewis Craig coming around the final corner now. Will he get out in front of these drivers who are trundling down the end of the pit lane? Court comes out, Arthur comes out, Jovial Manatee comes out. So they're safe, luckily, and there's just enough space for Dan Morris. And Dan Morris has to come out behind Lewis Craig. He's going to be annoyed about that. So Lewis Craig making up a position in that, and all under safety car conditions. Machine Island in 9th place. And they'll be happy that they came out line astern in front of these drivers who had already pitted on the intermediate tyres. Very, very close.
Absolutely. So Lewis Craig then and Aiden, really the big winners in that one. But you have to say the big losers were absolutely Machine Island and Phil Bargewell. So Machine Island then is now in 9th place. But Phil Bargewell, well, with the way he was running in this one, he was in the mix for the race victory or a podium at least in this one. But now he is way down in 13th place with it all to do. And you have to say, with them all on the same kind of strategy here, Luca, it is going to be so much harder for them to make the overtakes. I mean, they surely they'll get these inters at the end here. I mean, I know the track's not exactly soaking wet, but those inters should probably hang on from here on in.
It certainly should, especially given that the safety car has completely neutralised the race. Drivers are now going a lot slower than they would be, not taking the life out of those tyres like you would expect them to either. So I'd be very surprised if we're going to see any more pit stops from these drivers from a tyre perspective. There is still the aspect of damage, which is a killer around this track, especially for following through those corners, waiting for that DRS. So drivers will need to be careful on the restart here, not get too bunched up into turn one when racing does re-enable and the safety car pulls in. And we'll have to see. Another one who hasn't quite managed to work their way up the field is Casper down in 14th. He was running in 10th at one point and now back down to 14th after all of the pit stops. So he'll be annoyed that he's not been able to make up that positioning like he should have done, and where he won here last year as well. So not a great day for the Tifosi watching around the circuit under the rain at the moment, but Court, he's put himself in a prime position here to win this race at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. And with Arthur as your bit of a buffer behind, I mean, you'll just have to hope that Arthur doesn't send it down the inside into the first corner. But if he can get a bit of a gap to the Haas driver, then he's not too bad of a car to have kind of covering off the others. He can absolutely delay Joe Vermetti and Co behind if he gets in a bit of a scrap. So let's just see then how this one plays out. But you have to say, with where Machine Island is at the minute in terms of the championship, it's big points gains at the minute for Court and Joe Vermetti. The question is, though, there's still a long way to go in this one. So how much kind of positions can Machine Island gain back in this one? But like you're saying, it's a miserable day for Tifosi because Casper, he's actually on the dry tyres as well. So he's still risking it on that compound. I mean, the question, we'll still have DRS, won't we, on these intermediates, Luca? I mean, that still is enabled. So, I mean, I've never actually thought about that. Is the DRS still a thing when they're on those wet compounds?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's up to the FIA to disable DRS when they believe that the track is too wet to be able to use DRS. I haven't actually seen that message come up to say that DRS would be disabled at this point, as the safety car will peel in at the end of this lap, and Court effectively becoming the safety car himself now, waiting for that safety car to peel in to be able to make the jump. And he needs to make the jump at the right time here, as Arthur seems to be trying to warm up his tyres. Court taking a full-on Kimi Raikkonen Abu Dhabi tyre warming approach here, dead straight, keeping that car well and truly straight, not wanting to get too much warmth in, and now a bit of weaving going on here. But I don't think DRS will be disabled, as now Court seems to make the jump, and he seems to have made a decent jump here on Arthur at the moment. Arthur caught napping a bit here, as Jovial Manatee caught napping a bit as well, and Lewis Craig right on the back of Jovial Manatee. Looks like Court has got a nice little buffer there. into the first corner. So Court will likely come out here in first on the first corner as Machine Island making a move on the back of Vessier here. He's already hustling him. Can he be late on the brakes? Yes, he can. Well and truly late on the brakes and almost into the back of Dom Smith in front of him as he had to lock up to stop that from happening. And that's a great start for Machine Island. And Court, Arthur and Jovial Manatee will need to keep their eyes open in their mirrors for a charging Machine Island by the looks of it.
Well, he absolutely had to get the anchors out there, like you were saying, Luca. He absolutely was locking it all up into that first corner, but a great move and a critical move in his race because he's not got many more cars to pass before he'll be right back in the mix of race-winning contention in this one, but he's still got plenty of work ahead of him here, and the order is still fairly the same at the top. Lewis Craig did have a bit of a run at Joe Manti, but he couldn't quite make the most of it. But it is Court who still leads the way then, 7/10 clear of Arthur, and absolutely nailed that restart. You have to say his non-weaving approach worked and got a fantastic run onto that start-finish straight. As he gets that gap up now to 8/10, he's trying to break that DRS, and he's going to have another lap to try and do so. But Arthur is still hanging on, Luca. I mean, there is over a second, though, between Giovanni and Arthur, and there is Machine Island once again making the move then, now on Dom Smith into the final corner.
Yeah, Machine Island, a bit of a specialist when it comes to safety car restarts here. He's made up 2 spots in 1 lap. And we've got DRS enabled on this lap, I believe, as well, as Machine Island now into 7th place with Aidan Griffiths up the road. We did see some moves happening between Casper and Phil Bardwell between the 2 chicanes at the start of the safety car restart, but Casper wasn't able to get that move done into the 2nd chicane and is stuck behind Phil Bardwell by the looks of things. But yeah, Machine Island definitely on the charge as we've got Arthur now trying to make a move here on the back of Court, just a bit too far back by the looks of things, but he's looking racy again as he's actually understeering through the first part of that chicane. And Lewis Craig on the back of Jovial Manatee, who's not been able to keep on the back of Arthur from this restart either. And so it looks like it's a 2-horse race, providing Machine Island can't make his way too far up the grid.
Yeah, Joe Manatee struggling. That's 2 seconds now, the gap, and he's getting really detached from the top 2, and it could be just a straight fight between the pair of them for the win here. But here comes Arthur then with a great old run, slipstream and DRS, but backs off. Thinks better of it. Patience maybe getting into Arthur's racecraft there, and we'll set this up for the start-finish straight. Surely he's going to get a right old run at the Mercedes once again here, but he will surely wait for that DRS down the start-finish straight. As Bavessia in the background there is making the move on Dom Smith for P8. We've also got Phil Bardwell then up the order as well, but there is Arthur then with a good exit. We'll now have DRS on Court then, and just about gets the job done just as they open DRS. He takes the lead then on lap 15, and there is Machine Island once again making a move, and there's another move. Dan Morris then on Lewis Craig into the first corner, and Machine Island makes a bit of contact with the McLaren and just gets it slowed down up into P6. So a great move from him there, Luca.
It is a great move. Machine Island is fighting with his fellow Red Bull driver, Lewis Craig there. I'm sure Lewis Craig won't put up too much of a fight there, but he is trying to fight against the back of Dan Morris, who is effectively in a bit of a cork bottle here with Jovial Manatee. The virtual safety car is now deployed.
Well, I think I saw it. There it is. There it is. Alistair Bain. He has big damage on the car. So too does Matt Tibos. So they've had a coming together through the Curva Grande there, I believe, which I'm amazed that the pair of them are still going in this race if they've had a crash at that part of the track. But this VSC will just neutralise things a little bit here, Luca, and just settle things down. But thankfully, we've not got another full safety car because I don't think we quite needed that.
No, we didn't, and we didn't want to see too much of a constancy effect there with the cars coming in for new tyres, etc. So I'd imagine we're only going to see the drivers with damage, which I did mention under the last safety car was a factor here, especially on safety car restarts. But who was the winner out of all of this? Machine Island. Machine Island up to 6th position now. 1 second now behind his fellow teammate, Lewis Craig, who is 4/10 behind Dan Morris, who is 3/10 behind Jovial Manatee. Jovial Manatee with a 2.3 second gap there from the top 2. He's out of it for the meantime as 10-second time penalty for Aidan Griffiths for speeding in the pit lane. As we've got a restart now.
Yeah, we are green, and so that's interesting. Aiden and Lewis Craig then in the pit lane, so they are getting rid of those intermediates, and they weren't that old, I thought. They were about 7 or 8 laps old into, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. I wonder why they decided to come in the pits. They're not really going to benefit much from it, because, like I said, we are fully green. There is Dan Morris then having a little look to the inside of Giovanni. Couldn't quite get it done. But I just wonder here, what is happening with Giovanni? His pace has just gone down the drain in this race, Luca.
It certainly has. Maybe his setup doesn't suit the wet tyres that he's got equipped to that car. Maybe he's just not confident in the rain on those wet tyres either. He seemed to be holding the pace okay when he was on the dry tyres, but it just seems to be not working out for him at the moment as Dan Morris now 1.1 seconds behind. He's got Machine Island all over the back of him.
There he goes.
Machine Island up the inside of Dan Morris, and that's going to be great for his race. He's got one down at the moment. He's now going to be on the hunt for Jovial Manatee as we've got Court Gill going around the outside as they're coming into Parabolica. Will he get the move done? And he does. He just gets the move done. Arthur thinking about the DRS onto that back straight, and Court Gill getting very squirrely going around the outside there. My goodness me, he's been able to keep that on the track. Who's going to have the DRS here? It looks like neither of them seem to have the DRS, but I suppose that's because of the VSC. Arthur finally opens it. And he's now going to get that advantage and stay in the lead for turn one, as we've got Dan Morris making a move back on Machine Island, but not doing, as we've got some action there in the background between Phil Bardwell and Casper. Phil Bardwell and Casper have been fighting this whole time, but have managed to get up to 9th and 10th position after those pit stops and the damage for Alistair Bain as well. So looking good for their races, but it's still very close between the top two here.
Well, I mean, that was quite something. You had wheel banging and everything there before the final corner. Never mind down the start-finish straight. They were not waiting around there. But great racing between the pair of them. And it's the usual suspects right behind. It's Giovanni and Machine Island once again about to lock horns here in this battle for P3. And you have to say, if Machine Island clears Giovanni here, you can't rule him out for the win here, surely. He's really going for it, and he's going to make the move here on the RB. Easy as you like. He moves up into third, and I tell you, the championship leader here, Luca, he is on an absolute charge.
He is on an absolute charge. Court Gill and Arthur fighting yet again. Arthur going to the outside, Court going to the inside here. Court looks like he's done enough to be able to make the move around Parabolica, but Machine Island now 2.8 seconds after being 3.1 after that move that was just made. So he's on the charge at 2.5 seconds as well. These guys fighting is definitely playing into Machine Island's advantage here as they're going along here. Arthur again has that DRS along the back straight. Will Court try to adjust his tactics so that he comes out on top after the first corner? We'll have to see in the coming laps. Lap 18 of 27. There's plenty of time left in this race for Machine Island to be able to make a move for the lead of this race, as Vessier and Tibos get a 3-second time penalty each. That won't help their race, but my goodness me, you wouldn't count Machine Island out now for the win, as Court looks like he's improving on his lap as well.
I tell you, that would be quite the recovery if Machine Island can come away from this one with another victory this season. But Arthur and Court are still going at it at the top, and Arthur seems to struggle quite a bit in this middle part of the lap, and there is Court then once again with the DRS, and he is going to breeze past the Haas here, and just before Ascari, seems like his favourite overtaking spot in this one, because he's once again made the move on Arthur there, but Arthur will come straight back at him here, Lucas, surely.
He will, and I mean, Court getting a bit squirrely there out of the exit of Ascari. Arthur, he seems to like the gamesmanship here to keep that DRS for the back straight, as he's just almost bump drafting Court into Parabolica there. The fighting is continuing going on. Machine Island 2.5 seconds behind this train here between these two. Arthur's going to get the DRS. This looks like it's going to be an easy move. Arthur's going to go to the inside. Court's not going to fight it. He knows that he's going to get that speed advantage going through there. And yeah, we've seen this happen plenty of laps before. We're going to see it happen plenty of laps again if there's nothing's going to change here.
Well, this is the thing. As long as these two keep trading the DRS, they are just keeping that gap to Machine Island fairly steady. But the Irishman is gaining on them. The gap is getting smaller. And Court and Arthur will see that. They will see that Machine Island is catching them. So do not go anywhere. There's absolutely anyone of the top 5 could still technically win this race because the gaps are beginning to close up. And the question is, will these two play it smart here, Luca, you'd have to say, and just focus on getting each other to the end of this race and one of the pair of them winning it, and they really probably don't want Machine Island to join the party here.
No, I don't think they do, but I don't think Arthur really cares about that. I think Arthur is looking for that blood. He's wanting that win in TGP1. Court wants another win in TGP1 as well. Oh my goodness, Arthur getting very, very sideways coming out of Ascari. Court here is going to go alongside. They're going to play more games to try and get those characters Arthur loves to do, and Court's just not interested in playing those games. But will Arthur now? Will he seem to be losing a bit of traction here? He seems to be almost going sideways through a lot of these corners here, but he's got enough traction to be able to get nice and close behind Court along this back straight. Are we going to see a carbon copy of this move? It seems to be the way. As we see Arthur going down the inside yet again. Court trying to put a bit more of a defense up. He goes round the outside. Court gets the inside line here. Is he going to get decent traction? Yes, he is. We didn't see that one coming from Court. And Court has managed to stay out in the lead ahead of turn 1. What is Arthur going to do here as the gap now is 1.6 seconds for Machine Island behind? Really losing time to Machine Island. They don't want to be doing that. And Court has come out on top after the second chicane.
Yeah, he's hanging on, and Arthur gets a bit out of shape there, has to take quite a lot of the curb and gets away with it, loses a bit of time though, and will probably have picked up a warning from that one. But that's the first mistake we've seen for a good couple of laps there from Arthur, maybe feeling a bit of the pressure because he couldn't quite get back ahead of Court, like you said, Luca. And Machine Island now is only 1.5 seconds behind, so this is going right to the wire here, and we've still got plenty of laps to go.
We have, and let's see. It seems like Arthur has got a bit of a grip issue here against Court. He's not been able to close up like he has before, but he's not exactly drifting away either. So maybe he's just had a bit of a moment through those laps that he's not been able to get the grip down. Can he get his head back down again to fight Court for this win? Machine Island, 1.4 seconds now, the gap, as they're continuing to fight, as we're seeing it dip into the 1.3 second gaps through the parabolica there. But it seems like Arthur is just a bit too far back to be able to bring the fight to Court into turn 1 here. And some brilliant driving here. Court's style is really starting to pay off now as we're starting to in lap 21 out of 27 here. And Court looks like he seems to have the job done and seems to have Arthur's number at the moment. And Machine Island dropping a few tenths there. And a bit settled down at the moment. Dan Morris on the back of Jovial Manson.
I tell you, another curveball that I'm kind of thinking could come into play here. I'm seeing more and more drivers coming into the pits at these latter stages here. That was Dom Smith there, running quite high up the order, coming into the pits for a set of medium tyres. And I just start to wonder, are these intermediates, are they really going off? I mean, there's quite a few drivers that are sacrificing good points here for a fresh set of boots. So that is something to just keep an eye on. I'm not too sure these guys will pit, but maybe those tyres, they're going to be right on the brink here, Luca.
They definitely are, and I think if these guys pit now, it's going to be a case of you'll lose track position. Can you make up those positions to get back up to where you were? I don't think you can. Dom Smith not really have anything to lose in this race, and seeing if he can just get some extra traction and be a bit more comfortable behind the wheel in these slippy, greasy conditions. So Dom Smith taking the gamble there to see if he can make his way back up, and Casper now in 7th place. A great race for him as Jean gets a 3-second
We've got a tangle. That's safety car.
Out.
Yeah, that's Jean is out at, I think that's Lesmo 2. He's gone off straight in the barrier, in the gravel there. And that is really going to throw a real curveball for the rest of this race, because that's Bavessia in the pit lane. They've missed the safety car once again, so they'll get away with it, Luca. But will they pit? That's the question. We've not got long to go in this one. And you'd imagine when the safety car comes back in, we're only going to have a couple of laps left in this race.
Casper, I didn't realise, was on the medium tyres. He's moving to soft tyres in this pit. Vessier moving to soft tyres as well. Who else is in the pits? Are they going to be moving to soft tyres? It looks to be the way that dry tyres seems to be the preference for these drivers coming into the pit lane. Will that be an advantage towards the end of this race with these drivers who have stayed out on the intermediates? Will we see the top 3 coming in for soft tyres? It's all to play for, and it's just crazy what we're seeing here. If we're going to see a resurgence of these dry tyre runners making a resurgence potentially against people who are going to stay out on the inters and keep track position, this isn't going to
be a mystery.
Brilliant finish to the race.
What a confusing race this is. The conditions are absolutely causing havoc here, and we've got no idea who is going to be on what tyre in these closing stages. I'm convinced they must come in the pits. Those intermediates surely were starting to suffer because there's people going on the dry tyres, which I'm really surprised about because the fastest lap still is to a driver on the intermediate tyres, which was Alistair Bain, I'm pretty sure. So let's just see. Will they come in the pits? Have the conditions changed here? Is it ready for dry tyres? You betcha. Here they come. They're all coming in then for those soft tyres, surely. And it's going to be critical here that they all keep this fairly straightforward with timing it coming into the pit lane. But is that intermediate? That's intermediates going on court there. So maybe it isn't quite soft tyres yet.
So court gets the intermediate tyres. I was just looking at the tyre ages for a lot of the drivers there. Chris Johnson on 5-lap-old soft tyres. Phil Bardwell on 3-lap-old mediums, and Jake WBFC on 2-lap-old mediums as well. Everybody else on new tyres, except for Dom Smith, who's actually on a 1-lap-old tyre, so he pitted just before the safety car as well. And the top 4, all on intermediate tyres, Dan Morris on the softs.
Yeah.
So it seems that they're all going conservative here. They believe maybe there's some more rain coming down that will make the track even slippier. The rest of the field seem to be taking a gamble on the soft or medium tyres and hoping that that is the tyre to be on for the end of the race. But we've only got a few laps left in this race. Can the dry runners make those tyres work? And can the intermediate tyre runners make those tyres last until the end of the race with potential overheating issues? Oh, very exciting. And Machine Island now doesn't have the gap that he did to Arthur. He's going to be right in the mix here, and Court really needs to watch his back.
Well, this is going to be quite a finale. So the top 4 then, all on intermediate tyres. Dan Morris, the lead soft tyre runner. Has he pulled off a masterclass of a call there? And can he pick up a shock? A podium? A win, maybe? It just all depends. How quick are those soft tyres going to be? Is intermediate still the way to go? I've got absolutely no idea in this one, Luca. I've got no clue what's going to happen in these closing stages here.
Neither do I. All I know is that the safety car is going to go around for another lap as we've got Chris Johnson, who eventually pits for the intermediate tyres now, trying to catch up to the back of the pack. So we're going to see the safety car for at least one more lap. I'd imagine it's going to peel in at the end of the next lap and give these drivers only 3 laps effectively to complete this race. DRS obviously is enabled after the first lap, so it would be better than it was in the previous days where we'd have to wait 2 laps for that DRS to come back open, as we believe is still the case. It's still allowed for the remainder of this race. And yeah, I mean, we know Court is a specialist when it comes to safety car restarts. We know Machine Island is a specialist for making up positions when it comes to safety car restarts as well. Arthur might be a bit of a sitting duck here with Machine Island on the back of him. Can we see Jovial Manatee start to make some inroads with Machine Island to get an all-important podium here? And what can Dan Morris do on those soft tyres? It's all to play for. Lots of unknowns, and I can't wait for the safety car to peel in to see what the answers to all of those are going to be.
I know. We just need the safety car to hurry up now because we've got all the ingredients for a brilliant end to this race. I was quickly scrambling there trying to find the statistics. If Dan Morris has ever actually won a race here at GP, never mind ever been on the podium, he hasn't had any fame for the last 3 seasons or so. So let's just see. It might be. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but he is obviously that lead runner on the soft tyres. So he might just have a great opportunity here for potentially a first ever victory. I'll need someone to find that out, surely, and I probably won't have the answer in these closing couple of laps. But Dan Morris could be the one to keep an eye on. But Court is still our leader in this one. He is on those intermediate tyres, and the question is, can he make it work? And I can't forget, obviously Arthur here is surely going for his first ever win. Can he get a run at Court, maybe potentially, Luca, at this restart?
Unbelievable to see that the safety car is going to go around for another lap as Chris Johnson hasn't closed that gap to get the pack up and running. So we're going to see even less laps now for the end of this race, which will only play into Court's favour as there'll be less laps of DRS as well. But can he keep Arthur back? Can he get the jump on Arthur from this safety car restart? It's all looking good for Court at the moment. The more laps that we keep behind this safety car, Obviously, we're not going to see the end of the race behind the safety car because that's just not something that we'll see in F1 2024. But Court will be grinning a little bit more under that helmet as he comes through past the start finish straight behind the safety car. And Machine Island will be that ever a little bit more frustrated. But will that be fire that will help towards his championship fight? We'll have to find out soon enough. Come on, Chris Johnson.
Yeah,
we need you to hurry up. You've come into the pits again. What is going on here?
I know, you're torturing us.
We just want this safety car restart to happen.
We want to see the action, and Chris Johnson coming in the pits then for a fresh set of intermediates, which he was already on. So for crying out loud, get a move on and catch the safety car, because we want this race to get done and dusted here. And at the minute, we're having to absolutely wait out for this one and be incredibly patient. But hopefully Chris Johnson now will surely catch the back of the pack, and we'll get back underway. And if he can't catch the back, then the safety car needs to come in regardless. So let's just see. Machine Island, how much does he risk in this one, Luca? That's the other element to this. He's got a championship to think about. If he maybe has a lunge on Arthur into the first corner, he could be risking a lot here.
He's got to balance it. He's got to balance that if he does make a lunge on Arthur, that Arthur's not going to take him out. He's got to balance whether it's worth getting those extra points for his championship and potentially risk a DNF here in a circuit that he could well and truly take the win for, as we're finally seeing the safety car in this lap. All of the answers to our questions will soon be answered towards the end of this race, with 2 racing laps to go. One will be under DRS, and we'll see how much of an advantage it will take as Court starts to bunch up the pack here. Machine Island will be thinking about his strategy to take on Arthur, his strategy to take on Court, and Court will obviously be thinking of when the best time to make that jump is, as Arthur all over the back of Court here. He's got to be careful he doesn't go alongside him too close, as there'll be a steward's inquiry. And I'll hand back over to you for the restart.
Well, here we go then. We've had to wait for this one, but we are about to finally get back underway for this TGP Italian Grand Prix, and it's going to be a brilliant finish to this one, and we are about to get it back going. And Court then doing his Kimi Räikkönen, crawling to the final corner, and he is finally getting us back going then. He absolutely lights it up, gets a little bit wide out that final corner. Arthur is a lot closer this time around, and this might just be his opportunity. He's going to have the slipstream, he's going to have the run at Court then onto the penultimate lap, and Machine Island is right behind him as well. Here comes Arthur, then he moves to the inside on Court, and he has got it done. He's got the restart sorted. He takes the lead then off Court, but I feel that will not be the end of that one with this one, Luca, because Court is still right with him here.
Yeah, and it seems that Court didn't get the jump that he wanted. Arthur was more savvy to that move of Court going out into the safety car restart. It seems Machine Island here has the advantage on Court, and Court seems to be dropping a bit of the gap here to Arthur, as Arthur seems to be going a bit wide through that chicane and is losing a bit of time. It's very close between the top 3 as they're coming around Lesmo 1 and into Lesmo 2. It seems that it's advantage Court on the back of Arthur at the moment, and Machine Island taking that little bit of a drop off. But can Machine Island make up that space again? Court now all over the back of Arthur here. He seems to be just biding his time a little bit, making sure that he's getting his corners correct here, and it seems that he has the advantage when it comes to grips, as we've actually got some moves between Casper and Vessier, and Casper up to 6th place now. After that restart, the soft runners not able to make inroads on the intermediate tyre runners at the moment, but Machine Island now all over the back here of Court. He's going to go up the inside of Court into the parabolic of Court, gives plenty of room, plenty of respect, and it seems Machine Island is up the inside, and he's got the move done to take on Arthur. Arthur now is the one who is in the firing line for Machine Island's attack. Will Court be able to stay on the back of this? It's yet to be decided as we're into the final lap.
We are on the final lap, and Arthur is still hanging on for the win here. Can he negotiate the rest of this lap and take a first ever win here in TGP? But he's got Machine Island, the championship leader, then hunting him down then in these closing stages. It would be quite the victory for Machine Island if he can pull this one off. But Arthur is going to be absolutely desperate to hang on here. We've got Bavessia out of the race. Something's gone on there, and we've got more chaos as Casper now is down into 9th. But who cares about that right now? It's Arthur who is still leading this one, Luca, and at the minute he looks like he's doing all he needs to do at the moment.
He does, and it seems like Court has dropped off the pace here as he actually dives into Lesman too. That was some speed that he took there, but it's not paid off for him. Machine Island, 3/10 behind here. No DRS. It's all up to the slipstream here with 33% battery compared to 20% battery on Arthur. Can he get the better drive through Ascari? He goes a bit wide. That brings Court back into contention here as Court now all over the back of Machine Island. He is on a slipstream down here as he's going to go to the outside on Parabolica. Can he make two moves going into Parabolica? He's going around the outside. It's an amazing dive and he gets pushed down wide. He gets pushed down wide onto the dirty stuff. It was a bit of a contentious move there and it's not paid off for him. Arthur now doing some moves and he's somehow made it. It's a bit dodgy there, but Arthur takes a win from Machine Island, from Court. Jovial Manatee will take 4th, 5th, 6th position for Phil Bardwell. And Chris Johnson, with that penalty, will come behind Dom Smith in 7th. JWBFC in 9th. Alistair Bain rounds out your top 10. And my goodness, what a finish to that race. I did not see that one coming from Court.
Wow. Arthur then wins in Monza. You would not have expected that before that one, but what a drive it was. He managed to hang on. Court, he gave it a go. I mean, that would have been quite the move if he managed to get the pair of them into the final corner there, but he just wasn't unable to get it done. But it's Arthur then who picks up the victory. Who knows? It could still go to the stewards later because there was that incident at the start. I don't want to take anything away from his moment of glory, but we'll obviously find that one out later on. But there he is at the top step of the podium, and you have to say, what a drive it was from him, Luca.
Yeah, it was a brilliant drive. I mean, there was trading of places, there was carbon copies of moves, there was frustrations towards the end there and lunges from Court to see if he could make around the outside. And yeah, brilliant racing. I thought we weren't going to top Suzuka here, but we somehow have in the rain, in Monza, in front of the Tifosi of the Italian drivers. And yeah, brilliant racing all around. Fantastic.
Wow. Arthur then wins the TGP Italian Grand Prix ahead of Machine Island and ahead of Court. Machine Island, he was well out of the picture of that one, but what a recovery, it has to be said, from him. Giovanni ends up 4th in the end, and Dan Morris from 14th on the grid gets a 5th place finish. Chapeau to him, what a great drive, and what a race that was. You have to say the pair of the races tonight were top draw, as they always are here in TGP, and I tell you, Luca, my voice needs rest after that one because it is starting to fade away.
It certainly does. Mine certainly needs a rest as well because I don't think I've got that excited for a final of a race in a long time. What brilliant racing we've seen. Machine Island showing his class on how he's been able to make his way up the order in both of those races and really take it to the drivers out the front there to compete for wins. Court Gill, another one who I want to call out there for some brilliant driving tonight. And I've got to say, Arthur really seems to be a specialist in Monza this time around this season. And a well-deserved win for some good racing there. We'll see what the stewards have to say about that early move where he cut the corner and kept the position against Jovial Manatee. Yeah. And Jovial Manatee will probably be seething about that and making plenty of reports to those stewards. But yeah, not our concern at the moment. Great driving, great racing in Suzuka and Monza, and really one to go down in the history books.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing. It may go to the stewards later. It may not be Arthur's win, but at the minute, it is indeed. And he will absolutely enjoy that one to the max. And it was a superb drive from the Haas driver, and he wins then the Italian Grand Prix, and we'll be back next week for the United States GP round 15 and then round 16 in Portugal. You do not want to miss those because this season is absolutely delivering. Thank you very much, Luca, for tonight. It's been a pleasure, and I've been CJH, he's been Luca, and we'll be back in the next one, and we'll see you on PS4. And there we go.